Hello everyone and welcome back to our ESL lessons for the Literacy and Learning Center here in Highlands. I'm glad to be back from my winter and spring hiatus. I had been helping with the COVID vaccination clinics, but now my part is done and I am glad to be back doing these lessons. Hola a todos y bienvenidos de nuevo a nuestras clases de inglés por parte del Literacy y Learning Center aquí en Highlands. Estoy de regreso después de un break de invierno y primavera. He estado asistiendo con las clínicas de vacunación de COVID, pero mi parte ya terminó de eso y estoy de nuevo haciendo estas lecciones. Bueno, empecemos. Alright guys, today we are going to read an article titled Volunteers Experience 40 Days of Isolation in a Cave, which I feel we can all relate to because we have probably spent over 365 days in what feels like a cave this last year, right? It was just March when everything sort of got shut down. Anyways, we're going to make it short today since it's our first lesson back. We'll review the vocabulary and then just do a few small exercises. And again, you can do those on your own. So let's read the vocabulary. Look for the words whenever we're reading the article afterwards, all right? Paragraph 1, mod cons. 2, react. 3, cope. 4, institute. 5, drastic. 6, dweller. 7, rely on. Paragraph 2, 8, expressed. 9, desire. 10, adapt. 11, evolve. 12, striking. 13, observation. 14, estimated. All right, let's read the article. Let's read. Could you survive for a few days without your smartphone or without being connected to the internet? How about living in a cave with no mod cons for 40 days? 15 people did just that. They took part in a project called Deep Time to see how they would react to and cope with being totally disconnected from the modern world. Scientists from the Human Adaptation Institute led the $1.9 million project. They wanted to understand how people would adapt to drastic changes in living conditions. They put the volunteers in a cave for nearly 6 weeks. There was no sunlight, and the cave dwellers had no contact with the outside world. They had to rely on their body clock to know when to wake up, go to sleep, and eat. Most of the volunteers said they enjoyed the experience of total isolation. 2/3 expressed a desire to remain underground a while longer in order to finish projects they had started. Deep Time's director, Christian Klotz, said the experience would test humans' ability to adapt to the loss of their frame of reference for time and space. He said, "Our future as humans on this planet will evolve. We must learn to better understand how our brains are capable of finding new solutions, whatever situation." One striking observation is that participants lost their sense of time, Mr. Klotz said. In our heads, we had walked into the cave 30 days ago. One team member estimated the time underground to be 23 days. Think of that. Could you survive in a cave for 40 days without your smartphone and any contact with people? I could probably do that. Although I sort of feel like I do that when I'm at work because I'm in this sort of cave where I get no sunlight. Anyways, let's look at the vocabulary at some of the words. All right, let's look at the words from the article and match them to the definitions, okay? Number 1 in paragraph 1, mod cons. So mod cons is going to be C, the machines and devices of a well-equipped modern house that create an easier way of life. So basically, modern comforts, right? That's the short for modcons. So your cell phone, your television, the remote control, things like that make modern life convenient and comfortable. Modcons. Number 2, react. It's going to be D. Act in response to something. Respond in a particular way. So I feel like we've probably been seeing this word a lot lately with people reacting with a lot of anxiety, anger, doing stupid stuff because of being cooped up, being inside for so long, not being able to get it out for so long. And a lot of times when people are not used to that and then they get back out, they kind of go crazy, especially with this gas situation going on. And they're not able to, number 3, cope, which is A, deal effectively with something difficult, right? So a lot of people are not dealing well or coping well with this pandemic. Number 4, institute, is E, an organization having a particular purpose, especially for science, education, or a specific profession. So the institute they mentioned in the article was the one that did the study. 5, drastic. Is F, likely to have a strong or far-reaching effect, radical and extreme. Number 6, dweller, is B, a person or animal that lives in or at a specified place. Number 7, rely on, is G, depend or count on someone or something. Number 8 in paragraph 2, expressed, is I, conveyed a thought or feeling in words by gestures and conduct. So conduct is behavior, the way that you act. Number 9, desire, is L, a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Like I have a strong desire to go to the beach for a week, somewhere where there's not a lot of people. Number 10, adapt, is N, make something suitable for a new use or purpose, modify. So the people had to adapt to being inside the cave, right? No electricity, no cell phones, no anything. Number 11, evolve, develop gradually, specifically from a simple to a more complex form. Evolve. 12, striking, attracting attention by reason of being unusual, extreme, or prominent. Striking. People usually use this word when talking about somebody's looks. You can say, wow, that person's features are striking. If they have very beautiful eyes or something jumps out at you, that's a striking feature. Number 13, observation, the action or process of looking at something or someone carefully or in order to gain information. And the last one, 14, estimated, is M, roughly calculated or judged the value, number, quantity, or extent of, estimated, right? So if you have 8 of something, you could say, roughly 10, I'll estimate 10, right? So roughly. Anyways, go back through this vocabulary on your own, reread the words in the paragraphs, and then go back to the article and reread the article and see if you can understand it better with some of the words that you weren't familiar with. All right, let's go on. Okay, in the last section, I referred to mod cons as modern comforts, but it's probably going to be better to say modern conveniences. So things that make your life more convenient and more comfortable. So things like hot water or anything portable, a stove, a refrigerator, things that if you did not have, you would not be very comfortable, right? And it's used more in British English versus American English, but yes, modern conveniences, modern comforts. So let's look at the true or false statements, and then in the next section we will go over whether they are true or false. A, the article says we could all survive without a smartphone. B, 40 people lived in a cave for 40 days. C, the research project cost $19 million. D, volunteers had to rely on their body clock in the cave. E, 2/3 of the volunteers enjoyed the cave experience. F, the research director said we needed to find solutions to situations. G, the participants in the research lost their sense of time. And H, one team member left the cave after 23 days. Okay, let's look at the answers. But before we do that, just try to answer them yourselves. If you can't, go back to the article and look through it and see if you can find the answer, and then you can go to the next section. All right, let's look at the answers here. If I can click out of this. A, the article says we could all survive without a smartphone. So that is false. I'm sure we could probably all survive without a smartphone, although nobody would want to, but the article did not say that, right? B, 40 people lived in a cave for 40 days. That is false. C, the research project cost $19 million. That is false. D, volunteers had to rely on their body clock in the cave. That is true. Remember, it said they had to rely on their body clock to eat and fall asleep. Number E, 2/3 of the volunteers enjoyed the cave experience. That's true. F, the research director said we need to find solutions to situations. That's true. G, the participants in the research lost their sense of time. True. One team member left the cave after 23 days. That is false. He thought he had only been there for 23 days. And then C, the research project cost $1.9 million, not 19. And then B, the people lived in the cave for how many days? Hold on a second. Now I can't remember. Let's go back to this article real quickly. Okay, modcon for 40 days. So 15 people did just that, not 40 people, right? And then the second one was, or the first one, the article says we could all survive without smartphones. So it did not actually say that. It said, could you, it just asked the question, could you survive for a few days without your smartphone? And I think that was the only false ones. Only other false one we didn't get. Okay, so hopefully you got those right. If you didn't, just try it again and we'll go on to the next activity. All right, let's look at the synonym match for our last activity. I can't even talk today. Synonym, again, is a word that means something that is the same or similar as another word, but they're two totally different words. So number 1, survive. 2, took part. 3, react. 4, drastic. 5, rely. 6, enjoyed. 7, adapt. 8, solutions. 9, striking. 10, estimated. A, change. B, extreme. C, depend. D, judged. E, make it. F, answers. G, participated. H, obvious. I, behave. J, loved. So try to connect the ones that go with each other, and we'll go over the answers in the next part. Okay, let's go over the synonym match. That is kind of a hard word if you think about it. Synonym, you kind of want to say cinnamon, but it's synonym. Anyways, number 1, survive. To make it. So, you might be running a marathon and you could say, I made it. I survived it. I didn't pass out, although I would probably pass out if I was trying to run a marathon. Number 2, took part. Participated. You took part in the marathon. You participated in the marathon. In this article, they're obviously talking about taking part in the study, right? Number 3, react. Is I, behave. React, behave. So how did the participants of the study react? How did they behave to being inside the cave for all those days? Number 4, drastic, extreme. So what they were doing was drastic, right? Nothing in there for 40 days. Number 5, rely, depend. So when you rely on something, you depend on it. We rely a lot on our smartphones, right? We rely on them to be our calendars, our alarm clocks, our GPS system. So we rely on them a lot. Number 6, enjoyed is J, loved. If you enjoyed your dinner or a movie, you say you loved it, right? I loved it. I enjoyed it. Number 7, adapt is change. So when we adapt to something, we change, right? We accept that change. Solutions is F, answers. The solutions, what are going to be the solutions to the problems that we are having, right? What are the answers to those? Number 9, striking is obvious. Number 10, estimated is judged. So look over these again and in the context of the article and see if you are familiar with these synonyms. Okay, let's go. All right, everyone, that is a wrap for today's lesson. I hope that you learned something new and found that article interesting, and maybe think about whether you could survive in a cave without any modern conveniences and comforts. I think it would be hard for me unless I had a lot of books that I could read, but I can't remember if the article said they could have books. But maybe no sunlight would probably be kind of difficult because I like to be outside. and walking and hiking. So that would probably be the hardest part for me. Anyways, I hope that you have a wonderful week, that you stay busy and safe, and that you keep practicing your English. And we will see you back here next week. Bye.